This is the Real Story with Adam and Sherry, the coaching edition. This is where two broker associates share our wisdom about how to become one of the best agents in our industry, focusing both on our purpose and on our professionalism, and that will lead to a sustained prosperity in the business. We are really excited today because we have our first guest on the coaching edition. It's Tommy O'Dowd. Tommy is, compared to Sherry and I, a newer agent, going on 5 years in the business. And we thought it'd be great to have his perspective as a new agent because you might think Sherry and I are kind of working on fumes from old stories. But Tommy, like most of us, came to real estate as at least a second career. And he was recognized this last year as one of the rising stars in our brokerage because he had a breakout year. And so we're excited to have him. Hi, Tommy.
Hey,
Hi, Tommy.
welcome to me and to all of you.
Yeah. I think this is going to be fun to hear about your story. You and Sherry actually have some previous career overlap, so hopefully Sherry will take a little of the reins on as she asks you questions. But just to get started, kind of want to give you a chance to tell a little bit of your story. Like, what is it that got you in the real estate?
Okay. I bought my first home in 2003, probably 10 years later than I hoped, but I did it by the skin of my teeth. And I was always handy, so taking care of my own home was no big deal. I just loved it. I had it for probably 15 years, and I was in a business that was going south, and I was lazy, to be honest with you. And I just let it all fall down around me, and I finally had to sell my house. So, as I was used to doing in the world of print production, is you always have at least three bids for any job you do. And so I had sought out three realtors, actually two, interviewed them, had them to my house, said, thank you very much. I didn't know who the third one would be. And I reached out to one of my vendors and I said, you're selling your house. Who are you using? Oh, you have to talk to Veronica Hidalgo.
Mhm.
And I said, okay, give me your number. And she sent her over and she walked around my house. I said, here's what I have to do. Here's the day I want to be out. Here's the money I want to make. I know you can't guarantee it. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. And she did. She went through the house and she said, that one bedroom, paint that ceiling white. Because I had one bedroom where all the walls and the ceiling were yellow. And I said, okay, I'll do that. And then she sold my house. And I was so amazed at how professional and buttoned up she was. She was exactly the type of person that I enjoyed working with. And when we were done, she said to me, now what are you going to do? Because she knew my career was falling apart. I said, I'm going to do what you do. I don't know where those words came out of my mouth. I had never thought about that question. And she said, get your license and call me. That was November of 2019. You all know what happened March 16th of 2020. I had all previously started taking my course online, and then I let it go. We
Mhm.
didn't know if we were going to live or die. And I studied. I eventually got my license the following year. It took me to May of 2021 to get my license.
Wow.
Lots were going on personally in my life, and I needed to settle that stuff. But it was the best decision I ever made.
Well, during 2020, you couldn't even take the test because they weren't giving tests during the lockdown, right?
I think that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So why was it the best decision you ever made?
Well, because I love what I do.
Okay.
I could not say that 100% about anything I had done previously.
Mhm.
While I love being in the world of printing and publishing, I love the craft aspect of it, the hands-on aspect of it. I was very good at getting the job done and making it on time and not on budget. But I disliked the corporate atmosphere, and I was not good. I was just not good at it.
Hmm. I find that hard to believe. You and I have a very similar background. In fact, we worked at the same company probably 10 years apart in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use the term that you will understand pre press.
Yeah.
Back when there was a pre-press stage, now everything goes right to press digitally. But I mean, my mother for 25 years did not know what I did for a living. She's like, "What did you do again?" But tell us about your job. I'm going to say Salzer and Hale. Many of my former clients and friends are listeners, and so they'll know
Oh, good.
the company Salzer and Hale, where I worked, and you worked about 10 years later. What did you
Yeah,
do there?
I was trying to think the other day when we figured out that we worked at the same place. And I think what I was doing was maybe in the proofing department, making proofs from
Hmm.
film. We'd get film delivered for ads or separations for something that, a Del Monte label that needed to be printed, because Del Monte was a big account of
Yep.
Souls and Hill that I can remember,
Yep.
and magazines and stuff like that. And so I was responsible for gathering all that material and making sure it shipped out at the end of the day, because everything was deadline driven. It was
Absolutely. Magazine
absolutely.
deadlines, print deadlines.
Yeah. So I don't, it's a while ago, but I don't think I was doing any stripping there. And for people who are not
Excuse
familiar
me,
with that
what?
term, and see, Adam, there's one. Yes, I was a stripper.
I was
Um,
trying to explain to Adam the other day when one of the strippers wanted to be my CSR, and he was like, "Wait, stripper? Let a stripper be a CSR?"
Yes, better known as photo engraving.
Okay.
Um, Funny story. Many, many years ago, I was in line at the DMV to renew my license. And the woman at the window, this is a long time ago, she said, "Occupation." I said, "Stripper." There was a dead silence. And everybody turned around. And, I was probably 20 at the time. I looked very different.
You were probably a stick and probably were like, all right, I could see that.
I can see that worked.
140 pounds, yes.
So I thought you were a customer service person, but you were a
I
union worker.
was.
Oh, you
I
were.
did
Okay.
both. I did
Okay.
both. I started hands-on, doing photo engraving and
Yeah.
stripping all the separations for press.
Mhm.
And then when computers became more heavily involved in our work, I got out of that and they wanted me to go into management.
Okay.
I was working for a company in the East Bay, I had the Lucky Stores account. So I was managing that account.
Wow. That's a big account.
Yeah, we also did Safeway at the same company that you could imagine. I have stories that could go on another podcast.
All right.
All right. So one of the things about working, I know it was true for me, it's probably true for you as well, is when you're working in that business, it's very customer service oriented. You're taking care of clients all day long, helping them do what they need to do to make their clients happy. And I think that's something that transfers into real estate. It's a very customer service driven industry, right?
Oh, absolutely. You
We're
have
taking
to take care of your people.
Yeah, so that was a natural transition for you as well as for me. I mean, I bought my first house when I still worked in advertising and pre-press, and my agent said at the end of the transaction the same thing. You should think about real estate, which I didn't. I didn't for probably 7 years, and when I got burned out on working the kind of hours that we had to work, the long hours and the stress and I mean, just insane timelines that we worked on and just walked away from my job one day. Went in on a Monday, quit my job, and the sales manager said, "Nobody quits this job." It's like I do, but I mean, I didn't know what I was going to do. And then real estate came into my mind. I wanted to not have a boss. I wanted to make my own hours, which is hilarious now that I think about it. But I wanted to be in control of, how much money I made, what my title was, where my office was, things that had not been available to me before. So it was a good fit and sounds like it was the same for you.
Yes, absolutely.
Was that the job that you had just prior to real estate? I mean, I know that you might have done a few other things. We all
Yes,
become jackets. So that,
yes.
yeah. Um, it's interesting because for both of you, I mean, we all came from a different career. But I'm curious, there's a lot of people who come to real estate feeling like a last resort, like I'm not qualified to do anything else. So I wonder if you had that feeling, but then also what happens is that people who come in thinking anybody can do it, there's a rough transition and you clearly have made it. And so I'm curious whether, one, was there any like, hey, I'm not qualified to do anything else? And then two, when did you transition from that feeling to actually I'm going to be good at it? Because you just said you loved it. I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
I think I always knew deep down inside that I could do it, and do it well. And somebody said to me, after I got my license, good, now forget everything you learned, and now you're really going to learn all about real estate. And that was so, so true.
Yeah.
Um, I learn something brand new in every single transaction.
Yeah.
We all do. Yeah.
Brand new. And I've talked to seasoned agents who have told me the same thing, saying, Tommy, don't feel so bad because you cannot think of everything. You just can't.
Yeah. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Adam.
Yeah, I feel like every transaction is has the possibility of teaching you something new. It's very humbling. Even, Sherry's been in the business 25 years, and even in the last year, I know that we both have learned things. So that is definitely one of the like characteristics of agents that are successful is kind of this perennial curiosity and humility because if you're not humble, the business will humble you. Um, so I'm glad. So it's the proof is in the pudding in the sense of you've made it. Sherry and I were looking at some stats for new agents, and it's like I don't know what was it, 70% don't make it past a year,
Yep.
and only 25% make it past 5 years. So um, you're definitely cresting the wave there. So I like Sherry and I, we both bring our relationships from previous careers and our life in general to real estate. Did Where would you find how did you define who you were going to market yourself to? Was it people that you knew previously? Are you making new relationships? I know how hard you work. So how are you like taking people and putting them into your sphere of influence?
Well, how interesting. So I created my sphere of influence list. And I thought, yeah, all my friends and family, they're going to want to buy and sell with me. Not the case.
Not the case.
That was a hard bullet to bite when you found out that they knew somebody who was in the business longer,
Yeah.
hadn't sold enough houses, and why would they trust me? I'm only brand new. This is a huge decision for them. It's a huge asset. I could
Yeah.
screw it up, and I took that to heart. It was really,
Mhm.
really hard in the beginning, but I had befriended the owners of the Orinda Theater in 2016 when they opened their wine bar, which was next to the theater. And I just happened to walk in one day and I met one of the owners and we became fast friends.
Hmm.
And so when the pandemic was roaring its ugly head, the theater was closed. But I had the keys and I would go in there and I had nothing to do. I was collecting pandemic assistance and I volunteered to go in and clean all the carpet and restore the tile in both the bathrooms. And a bunch of us did. And then when the theater reopened, my friend said to me, we're going to have the free movie nights again. Would you think about sponsoring that?
Wow.
And I said, I said, okay. Well, I was never a big theater goer.
Hmm.
As a matter of fact, I had never been in that theater prior to the pandemic.
Hmm.
And so I said, yes, I'll do it. And that involves me paying for the licensing of the films each month and marketing each film to fill the seats because it's free. They're not
Yeah.
just going to give it to anybody to do. So that, for what they lose in a ticket price, they better be gaining at the concession stand.
Yeah.
So it was my job, fill the seats. I love it.
Mhm.
I'm now in my fifth year. Fifth year? Yeah, fifth year of doing the free movie nights every month. And the audience participation has grown. I'll get as many as 650 seats filled for the December film, which we do, Polar Express for Kids. I have gotten 3 transactions last year just from people who come to the theater. So the theater is my gold mine.
Yeah.
It's your sphere.
When I
Wow.
first met you, you were doing that. I just assumed you'd done it forever, but that was a new thing for you, huh?
Brand new, brand new. And I know all the movie geeks, and they all want to talk to me. Everybody wants to talk to me after the theater, after the movie. And this week's movie is Airplane from 1980, the funniest film ever made. You
I think
have
I
to come.
I think
I'm
I
going to let
quoted
you
that.
two bond
Okay,
over that. Adam quotes that movie almost every single
surely you
day to
must be
me.
I
serious.
quoted it yesterday. I won't do the quote here on the podcast, but it was the Barbara Billingsley quote. Um,
Oh, yes.
yeah. So,
She spoke jive really well.
yeah, exactly. I mean, growing up in Oakland, I feel like I come by my use of language authentically, shall we say? But
Yes.
yeah, um, yeah. The what?
That's funny.
When is that? Like, and everybody ignore. Just Tommy and I are talking. When is that?
This Thursday, the
This
19th at
the
6:30.
19th. All right, sounds good.
Yeah, and I make it fun, and I have local businesses who participate. Costa sometimes donates, dinners, and but every month, Lord's Ice Cream, who's been there for 70 years, gives me certificates to give out. So I run around with the microphone and I ask questions. On Thursday, we're going to have a paper airplane flying contest.
Oh, great.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
This is where your marketing and advertising background comes in, right?
I think so.
Your
It just
creativity.
does. I've been around creative people my whole life. My two younger brothers are creative directors.
Oh, interesting.
My nephew in Los Angeles started his own agency, which he's since sold. Very, very successful. So it's in the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the genes.
Yeah.
Love it.
Are you going to use flyers with your face and logo on it for the paper airplanes?
No. I am I'm getting better at preparation for these things. I sometimes get so busy I forget, oh my God, I have a movie in 2 days.
Yeah.
And so I do have a Facebook page just for free movies.
Yeah.
And I've just written a script for a teaser to come to the movie, which I'll record after this and put it on, Instagram and Facebook. Um, it's um, it's something I just love to do now. I look forward to it every month.
Yeah. Fantastic. So that's great. I mean, I think that agents are always kind of struggling to figure out who their market is. And so to have something that's actually fun like that, where you get to be in front of a local crowd. Um, are you a Bay Area native? Like, I think it's sometimes like there's some agents, even in our office, that they grew up here, so they know everybody. But are you a Bay Area native? Or like, how, besides the movie theater, are you networked?
So I am not a Bay Area native. I think I am now. I've lived more than half of my life here in California, but I was born in Staten Island, New York, and my parents bought a house in 1962, and we moved to New Jersey, suburban New Jersey, Middlesex County, and that's where I grew up. And I left when I was 30 years old to come to California.
And did you come to the Bay Area straight or someplace else?
That's a trick question, Adam.
No pun intended. All right, sorry.
No, as a matter of fact, I didn't. Pun intended.
Yeah, yeah.
I moved directly. Let's see,
Better
where was the
word.
first place? I lived in Noe Valley in San Francisco.
Okay.
My best friend at the time and I packed up a truck and drove across country. He had his dog, I had my cat. And we lived here, had a few apartments in the city. He went his way, I went mine. I moved to Alameda. I rented a house in Alameda for 9 years, tried to buy it. That didn't work. Um, and then I thought, shit, the only place I can afford a house is the East Bay. I know nothing about the East Bay. At the time, I didn't even own a car. I didn't need one. And so I moved to Concord, and I owned a house there for 16 years.
Wow. Even in Alameda, you didn't. I grew up in Alameda, so even in Alameda, you didn't have a car
I did I'm sorry, when I moved to
from the city.
Alameda,
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
did. But you didn't have to. The buses were there to take you everywhere,
I,
and I only walked down the corner to get the bus.
I met a friend for drinks in downtown Oakland last week, and as I was walking from the BART station to Drake's, the 51 AC Transit 51 was driving by, and I used to ride the 51 everywhere because it would go from Alameda to Berkeley. Because as a young kid, you always just wanted to go to the Cal campus, go to Telegraph Ave, Blondie's Pizza, Rasputin, Silver Ball, um, Top Dog, and it was just kind of weird. Like it. I rode that same bus line 50 years ago, and it's still the 51A if it went to all 51M if it went to the marina. Um,
Still going.
right? I mean, the Bay Area is kind of a weird public transit space where we have some, but it's not like New York or Chicago, I don't think. I mean, San Francisco has better with the Muni, but the East Bay, but yeah,
It's disconnected.
yeah.
Yeah, very disconnected.
Um, so as you think about your business, what do you attribute particularly this success this last year where you got recognized as the rising star? Was there something that you had been slowly building on, or was there something that was a breakthrough moment for you?
Well, let's see. I think it was slowly building for sure. And people I knew started to give me business who weren't in the past. Um, and um, and it was also momentum. All of a sudden, there was this momentum that came across me. And when you have momentum, in my case, I was just more positive. I could handle more stuff. I closed 4 deals last May in the first week of May. And that I didn't know how I did it. I just did it. And I am known for just tell me how much money you have to spend and what your deadline is, and I'll make it happen. And I have always been that way. I don't know where it has come from. Maybe from my marketing and advertising background, because there was a time in the last 16 years of that career that I developed budgets. I hired the people to do the job, and I billed out at the end and made sure we made a profit. So I know how to put all that stuff together and have several going at the same time. A lot of people can't comprehend that.
It's just like real estate,
Yes, it is.
just like real estate. And it's a little
Yeah.
creative as well when you're prepping a house for sale.
Yeah, it is. And you don't always know going in what you're going to need to do to get that home ready.
Everyone is different.
Yep.
Who trained you? You said you came out of real estate school and someone, I'm not sure who that was, said, forget everything you learned. And now you're really going to learn how to sell real estate. Who trained you? How'd you learn?
Well, that was Veronica Hidalgo.
Okay.
And it was also Marty, who used to do the Sweet 16 training that we had here.
Right.
And he was a very good mentor up until a point. And then when I got busy with Veronica, you do what your mentor tells you to do, because I didn't really know, frankly, what I was doing.
Yeah. None of us did.
The hardest point in this business is all the forms and regulations and rules.
Mhm.
And I have always, and sometimes to this day, I still feel bad. Like, why don't I know this? I should know this. How come my TC flagged this? Oh, this form should have gone out a week ago. Oh my God, I didn't know that. I didn't even know this form existed. And then it changes twice a year.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It is kind of cuckoo.
It's
I had
it's a
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Adam. I was going to say it's a funny little business because you get your license and they just kind of push you off the edge of the swimming pool to see if you can swim. You know, right on the backs of the clients who have no idea that you just got your license and have no idea what
Yes.
you're doing. And I've been saying for years that every agent should have to do at least a 1 year internship with an experienced agent. Nobody at the DRE is listening to me, unfortunately. But thank goodness you had someone like Veronica with all her years of experience to help you learn
Mhm.
how to do that. I don't think there's a better way to learn than sitting in an office, if you are able, with an experienced agent and just watching them and listening to them, how they talk to clients, what they're doing, on a daily
Yeah.
basis.
And I would go with her on appointments. Not
Nice.
enough as far as I'm concerned,
Mhm.
but that woman is a whirlwind of crazy business.
Well,
And
that that's really the gift, I think, of being on a team with an agent like Veronica, who's one of the perennial top agents in our brokerage. Is there are a few spaces there it's very hard for a new agent to get in, and that is in the same space with a veteran agent actually doing a listing appointment. So you see some of the buyer work when you're doing an open house, but when you're sitting down across the table from a potential seller, it's such a critical moment for all agents that it's really a huge trust issue to invite somebody else into the room and to say, sit here quietly and don't say anything, which seems awkward. Why is this person sitting here not saying anything? Or the other part is that you let them talk and they mess it up because they don't know what they're talking about. And then you, as the
Mhm.
primary, look like you're an idiot. I'm
Yeah.
not accusing you of being an idiot, but that's a dynamic. When we're all new, we don't know what we're talking about, right? Um, so being able to, that's invaluable that you had that opportunity with an agent like Veronica. Um,
Yeah, I never went on a listing appointment with my mentor, and I had great mentoring when I got into the business. But he would not take me on a listing appointment. I muddled through them on my own. He played, did role playing with me, but I wanted to see it in person because it's not the same doing role playing.
No, people come up with questions you aren't prepared for.
Yes, they talk, they ask questions. You want them to just
Uh,
sit there and listen, and they
I
don't
was
do that.
showing, I was showing a house we weren't on the market yet, but there was a request from a neighbor that he may want to buy the house. And so my seller said, yes, we want to meet him and we want you to be there and you take him on a tour of the house and tell him, what we plan on doing. And I took this guy through the house and after a while, I could tell he clearly wasn't interested. And he said, so who are you? Like he was kind of rude. And he said to me, I've not seen your signs around town ever.
uh,
And I said, well, you haven't seen where I've worked. I said, I don't only just work in Orinda.
yeah.
And I couldn't believe how rude he was. But I hear this every once in a while. You meet somebody like that. Well, I don't know you. I don't see you in a magazine or something. And that's the hardest part of it was for me as a new agent to say, oh my God, I haven't sold anything. Why are they going to trust me? This is, for some, the largest transaction they will ever do in their life when it comes to money. And let me tell you, money is nothing, it's emotion. It's
Yeah.
all about dealing with their memories and their emotions and how it ties to money. And it's just, it's so complicated. Why would these people trust me? They just met me with all this. I sometimes ask myself that question.
Orenda's a tough market.
That's what
Yeah.
I've heard. I don't know why.
Really tough market. Well, because the agents who work there have worked there for, decades. And so the guy and everybody, when you get together, talks about real estate, so the guy who said, I haven't seen your signs, I don't know who you are, he probably was being, I mean, actually truthful because
Yes,
everybody over there is so visible because they've been around for so long. It's a pretty intimidating market.
does intimidate me.
No, I can tell that you were totally
Not
comfortable
at
with it.
all.
Yeah.
Not at all. I will go wherever somebody needs me. California's a big state.
Yep.
Then
Well, you just
again, yeah, it's not appropriate for me to work everywhere.
well, you just sold a house in Southern California, I think, right?
I did, and what a interesting process that was. Being a 101-year-old historic green and green craftsman.
Wow.
Um, there was no home like that in all of Ventura County.
Wow.
And I
Was it
had,
different than selling up here? I mean, the process.
A little. I'm trying to remember what was different. Point of sale ordinances were different.
Hmm.
Frankly, now I can't even remember what they
Mm,
were. Um, but it wasn't that hard. You can find out everything you need to know if you know how to look on the internet.
right.
And then if you still have questions, you just call the local organizations.
Yeah.
They'll pick up
Yeah.
the phone. They'll talk. I talked to the title companies there. I got all the information I needed, and I felt comfortable to proceed.
It's a pretty collaborative business. People want to help each other, not only in the company where we work, but I think in general, you can pick up the phone and call someone and they'll answer questions for you.
Yeah, I interviewed two other agents because I was not going to take this deal. I thought, oh, do I want to drive back and forth or fly? How many times do I need to do this? You have to meet with inspectors because I was representing the buyer. And out of the two agents I interviewed, I absolutely loved one of them, and the other one I didn't like at all. But I gave them both to the buyers, and they said, no, we want to work with you. I said, okay, let's do it.
Yeah. I
And
Um,
love
we
that.
negotiated quite a bit of money off the sales price.
yeah, you were telling us about that. That was really a remarkable story, and at a price point different than what any of the three of us regularly work in. So well done.
No, I never thought I would be selling a $3 million house.
Yeah. The this can be a stressful industry. I don't know whether any other time in your life you were 100% commission. And there's a older retired agent who, when I was brand new, he said, you think you're never going to get another transaction after the last one closes. And I thought, I'm still hungry for my first transaction. What are you talking about? But as I've gotten more experience, I recognize to not panic. Sherry likes to say that if we don't have an open escrow, we're unemployed. Gee, thanks. Yeah, here, carry this heavy item. Thanks, Sherry. Um, so I'm just kind of curious, like, how has transitioning from, I assume you were salary when you were in your other roles versus commission, how has that been for you? And then kind of just the general stress of either both, maybe stress from the commission side of it, but also just stress from transactions and picking up people's largest financial item. So how do you deal with that?
Well, I haven't been a W-2 employee for over 20 years.
Oh, okay.
My last job, I was a contractor.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't always 40 hours. It could be more, it could be less. And towards the end, it got really less.
Hmm.
And so that none of that ever bothered me. I always paid for my own health insurance, and I was running my own business, for that length of time, but not like I am here.
Hmm.
Here, you have to be so incredibly organized. You cannot miss a beat. And I forgot the second part of your question.
Oh, yeah, stress, the stress of
Oh,
that, and then just the stress of, like we go on interviews 20 times a year and get rejected for 10 of them, or, whatever your ratio is. There's a lot of, and then transaction goes south and we feel that. So just kind of, what have you found to be
um,
stressful? And then how do you cope with it?
I have no fear whatsoever in conducting a meeting or meeting new people or being on stage. It's just natural for me. I can talk in front of 10,000 people or just one person face to face. I remember somewhere, I don't remember who it was. I think I know what it was. I was in high school. My best friend Richie's mother owned several of the Barbizon School of Modeling.
Oh,
And she didn't want
wait, is
us.
that how you became a stripper?
No, that was. Are you gonna have bloopers in this reel?
No, 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 I'm leaving this all in.
We leave it in.
Yeah.
But she didn't want us running around with, her car at night because we just got our license and getting into trouble. So there was a class in her studio she wanted us to take. And it had to do about presentation. One of them had to do with television commercial scripts and things like that. But I remember her saying, when you meet somebody, you always look them in the eye, and you have to make eye contact. When you first enter the room, you shake their hand, you acknowledge them, and you always have eye contact. And I had, you don't want to stare them to the wall and make them uncomfortable, but look at them, interact with, you have a conversation with your eyes. And, most people can't do that.
Mhm.
True.
And I learned that very early on. I think it enamors people to you to want to communicate. It is the biggest transaction most of them will make. And I don't remember was that answering your question?
Well, I mean,
I got way off track.
Yeah, no. But it was such a great point that I think without a doubt the reason why you've had success has been your, I'll say, soft skills, because there's nothing really soft about them, but how personable you are and the way that you're engaging and the way that you are fearless. Things like the movie night at Orinda, or stepping into the Orinda real estate market and not caring that you haven't been there for 20 years, because you developed your skills and your knowledge, and you now are an experienced agent. Like I said, most agents don't make it as far as you have. So
Yeah.
You're just describing why you're successful and making those personal connections.
Interesting. And I had never thought about it until you asked me.
Sherry, do you have other thoughts you wanted to ask? I'm trying not to dominate like I normally do.
You're not dominating at all. I guess Adam asked about stress, how you handle stress and how you handle, setting boundaries and having a personal life, which is hard to do in this business.
It really is. I remember going to a seminar, I think it was by Kitty Cole, and she has some wonderful teaching materials. And one of them was, when you meet a client and they're going to sign with you, you have to tell them, I work from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and after 6 p.m. you don't contact me. And I thought, how the hell is this woman getting business? And I said, I can't do that. At the time, I was in contract with somebody and they were calling me at all hours of the day and night.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just can't do this. So I don't think I don't need to set that hard edge, but say things like, when we're in contract, yes, time is of the essence. We will perhaps have very early or very late conversations, and I'll need you to be available, and I will too.
Yeah.
But it's that time of day thing is challenging for me, because you want to be on at all times. And then, of course, if you are, and you're going back and forth and there's counter offers or whatever, then you can't sleep.
Yeah.
And I wake up at 2, 3 in the morning. There was a period of time, it was probably all of last fall, I would just wake up at 3. I'm like, okay, I'm up for the day. I'm not going to fight this. And I would get so much work done. And I would drive into the office. I live in El Cerrito, so I would drive all the way to Walnut Creek. And I'm like, well, what else am I going to do? I might as well work. There's no traffic. This is great. But that's not the way to live.
Yeah.
And only recently, like you knew when we started this podcast, is my bad habits for handling stress landed me in the ER. And we know that's what it is. That's what the doctor and I were talking about. First of all, he fist bumped me and he says, welcome to your 60s. and then he said to me, you're not 45 anymore.
Yeah.
And you can still go this hard, but you really need to cut down your vices. And I won't go into all of them. And I said, agreed. I knew this conversation was coming.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm in the process of getting certified as a professional coach, career and life coach, and I've got the certification definition is partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize the key word here, their personal and professional potential. And that word maximize stood out to me as kind of like, I'm not sure I fully agree with that. We see some agents that are just wildly successful and they're working 70 hours a week. Sherry's previous partner would work long hours like that. And I think there's the fear of when we're self-employed that we're not paid if we don't work, and we don't get paid until we get a close escrow. So we just hustle all the time. But there does come a certain age in life where you can't do that. And there's probably a all of life where you shouldn't be doing that, and trying to find that balance between, all right, I'm not going to make 250,000 in gross commission this year. I'm going to make a living and pay my bills, but I'm also going to be able to sleep through 3 a.m. Sherry and I have had seasons in our partnership where we were texting at 3 a.m. because we knew we were both awake. So usually
Oh
what
God.
usually what happens is that I'm awake and I'm like, all right, I can't fall back asleep, and I'll get up so I don't wake my spouse up. And I'll like be on Facebook and I'll notice that Sherry posted something at 3 a.m. So I'll text her like, "Hey, are you awake? Go back to sleep." And she's like, "Hey, you're awake. You go back to sleep." And I mean, that only happened a couple times. This is not a regular event, but that is absolutely true for real estate agents. Did you see any of the Hunger Game movies or read the books?
No,
Okay, so
no.
um, now that I introduce it, I'm going to have to follow through on it, even though it doesn't make reference to you. But for those of you who are familiar with it, it's this dystopian story that the world has been obliterated and divided up into 12, maybe 13 districts, and each district has a different kind of function in the culture. But District 1 and District 2 are like the cultural government political center, and those people are like, they have all the benefits. All the other districts are working for their glory, and they have grotesque hairdos, and they'll eat something really rich food, but then they'll throw it up so they don't get the calories so they can eat some more rich food. So just kind of really a distorted reality in District 1 and District 2. And the Bay Area is like District 1 and District 2. And like the Arenda real estate market is very specific like that, where you really, the kind of work that some agents do is over the top and out of control, I think. And compared to the real estate in the rest of the country, even maybe in other parts of California. And I feel like our little like Walnut Creek, Central Contra Costa County is a little bit better, but we still have that mentality of being competent in real estate. That's like a C. Like you've got to be excelling and overselling to be a successful agent. And I think that there's an unhealth for us as agents to, I mean, most agents are struggling to make their living. So most of you can unhing from that. You need to invest in your business. But some of you are making enough money and need to take your relational health with your family and friends, relationship with yourself, maybe kind of a well balanced nature. And the reality is, you start investing in other relationships in your life in genuine ways that they will pay back in your real estate business by working less hard when you're
Absolutely.
when you're doing the relational things. So sorry, I got a little preachy there, Tommy.
That's
Um,
okay. As I grow older, I I I have the faith to trust that what you just said is the only way it will work. Is I am present in my community where I am selling myself. If people have a need in real estate, they will seek me out. It doesn't mean I sit on my ass and do nothing, but I have done enough now where people know who I am and know what I do that they trust me.
yeah,
I could not say that even 3 years ago, 2 years ago.
yeah. None of us could when we first started. So, Tommy, it's been great to hear your story. Again, just want to congratulate you on an awesome 2025 where you got recognized for your success. And I am so thankful that you were available and willing to share your experiences and building on tradition, or not, but your previous successes, building them up and giving hopefully new agents who feel like, what do I have to offer? It's like, well, stay with it. because eventually you will have something to offer. Tommy, any last thoughts you might want to give to any of the new agents that are listening to this podcast?
Show up.
Mm,
Yes.
That's it.
Yep.
Just show up.
yeah.
Yep.
Sherry, any last questions from you?
I'm here to say after 25 years in the business that the stress gets easier.
Hmm.
It takes a lot to get me to be stressed out. In the beginning, I was awake at, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., thinking about all kinds of things like it sounds like sometimes you guys do, or at least Tommy does. And it gets easier. It gets easier. The more you learn, the easier it gets, and the more you're in control of the business. You can't control everything, but it's a lot easier way to live and to do business when you don't have to be worried about the stress part of it.
Yeah.
Amen.
All right. If you found this at all interesting, as Sherry and I did, of course it's our podcast. We invite a guest that we find are interesting. We're gonna find it interesting. Be sure to like and subscribe and recommend it to your friends. If you're thinking about getting in the real estate, feel free to reach out to Sherry and I. Will have contact information in the show notes, and we'll have Tommy's contact in the show notes as well if you want to interview him to be your agent. All right, we had to re-record the end because we had technical difficulties, but you got all the quality content before it cut out. Thanks for tuning in to The Real Story with Adam and Sherry, the coaching edition. We are inspiring agents to have handshake integrity while offering first-class professionalism. Thanks for joining us. See you next time. Bye.